Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face. Welcome back once again to this Motorsport Manager career. We're on the 10th race of the season. We've got Milan, the Italian Grand Prix coming up. Should be a good race for us. We'll just quickly, briefly go over last time out in Ardennes. Vettel finished 7th. Gasly was on for a good finish as well. He had a collision with a few laps to go on that notorious chicane, as we've come to expect from the Ardennes Grand Prix. Ended up dropping down to 14th after having to come in to repair his front wing. Not the best race for us overall, but still picking up points. We're currently still third in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes do have a big gap back to us and McLaren. Vettel is falling further behind Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris has actually jumped Sebastian Vettel. But enough of that, we'll quickly jump into the car development screen. And there's not a lot of stuff to go over here, not a lot of teams. Only 3 of the AI teams have actually built new parts heading into this race. We've got AlphaTauri with a new brake system. Brakes are pretty important around this track. We've got Renault with a new rear wing. Ford Haas have built, I think, their second engine of the season and got a slight boost to their brakes as well. And Audi, us, we have got a new engine in the car as well. We've also gone ahead and started work on another new engine. It's a massive build. It's going to take near enough, I think it was about 44 days just finished before this race, and now there's still almost 42 days to go, so it won't be ready for the next race or the race after that. We're going to be without parts going into the car for 2 races until we get to Brazil, where the engine is going to be crucial. So hopefully we might even have time to get this engine done and a rear wing done before Brazil. So that is 56 days away. A rear wing does take about 14, but I think it would be our second build. Possibly not going to be getting the engine and a rear wing done. It would be great if we could do that, because they are both crucial parts in Brazil. But Milan, the engine is crucial, the brakes are crucial, as is the rear wing. The rear wings, it's off pace, but the average is way down compared, because Aston Martin just having a massively enormous advantage in terms of rear wing. Our engine is now the second best. Ford Haas, who upgraded their engine as well, are sitting top. They don't have any customer teams, neither do we, so it's just us and Ford out in front. Our brake system is second behind Ford Haas as well, so this race could just come down to us and Ford Haas. I mean, Aston Martin do have that rear wing. The engine's not too bad. Their braking system is way off, so it's going to be interesting to see what goes on. But overall, we do have the best car again. Ford Haas are just behind us. Aston Martin, with that massively, enormously powerful rear wing, sit third. Then we've got McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, Renault down in 8th, Red Bull languishing still all the way down in 10th. We'll just head on over to the sponsor screen. We have the Castrol sponsorship has run out, which is unfortunate, because our whole livery this season is in line sort of with the Audi Formula E team, but it was based around the Castrol sponsorship as well. We've actually lost that. We're going to be losing Microsoft over the next race as well, so we do need another long sponsorship that we could base the livery around next season. We've got Safina Total and a mystery sponsor. I'm going to go with the mystery sponsor, Lincoln Tech, it says it is, and it just goes on the back. And that is actually, I think that's actually another McLaren sponsorship, not an F1 sponsorship, but I do think they're going to be sponsoring the Arrows McLaren team in Indy. So we're taking a lot of McLaren sponsorships here away from McLaren. But anyway, should be a decent race. We're going to take the A Better Tomorrow sponsor, another McLaren sponsor that we've got on the car. 6 or above, not a massive amount of money. It's going to be clear all weekend. We'll take the usual complement of tyres that we usually do, which is 8 and 7. Both drivers should be happy with that car, because they've both got the same parts in the car. What we usually do need to do is just switch the parts over. That makes them delighted with the parts with each other. So we're going to skip over practice like usual. We'll be back in a second for qualifying, and we can see how we can do here in Italy. So practice is over, and we are looking pretty quick around this circuit, as we thought Ford Haas would be pretty quick around here too. Hopefully this is going to translate into qualifying pace for us for one. I mean, I know I've said this before, but I don't think we've had an out-and-out pole position in this game yet. Anyway, we've got all the 15% bonus increases. We just need to make a tiny quick change here. That one, but in terms of Pierre Gasly, we're pretty much all there as well. He does have the qualifying trait as well, the timesheet hero trait. So as usual, we usually get Gasly out first, and then he does the second run on the second qualifying lap. We'll get Vettel out of the pits as well. So hopefully that pace that we had in practice is going to translate here, and we're still going to retain that slight advantage that we had over the Ford Haases in practice. Hopefully that is going to be the case here, as it is. Vettel is setting the quickest sector, so it looks like Vettel could be sat on pole position here. We're quicker than the Mercedes. Obviously there is the 2 Ford Haases out on track. Verstappen sits into second place at the moment. I don't think, where is Newgarden? Newgarden is on a fast lap at the moment. He comes across into third. So Gasly a little bit off the pace. A lot of the cars still pretty close together, other than the AlphaTauris right at the back, over a second slower are the AlphaTauris. But anyway, we're going to get Vettel out of the garage first because that's the way we run it. Gasly does get to go last at the moment because he does have that boost. We should be expecting Gasly to actually be a little bit quicker than Vettel in qualifying, but hasn't turned out so far in this qualifying session. But hopefully Gasly can get a better lap in on his second run. We're starting to see a few cars come out of the garage as well for their second run, so we're going to get out of the garage as well first with Sebastian Vettel, leave it a few seconds, and then we will get Gasly out as well. So hopefully we're going to see some improvement from Gasly. Possibly need to see some improvement from Vettel as well to stay ahead of these Ford Haas's that are like 2 and 3 100ths behind us, and Newgarden is currently going quickest through the first sector, so it looks like we might not get this pole unless Verstappen, his teammate, slows him down here. But Newgarden is on a massive pace. Verstappen does go quicker, holding his teammate up there. It doesn't look like Vettel is going to go any quicker, so Vettel will retain third place. Is Gasly going any quicker here? No, it looks like we're going to be on the second row. Russell goes quicker as well. Our cars are next to each other, but not next to each other on the grid. Vettel will start on the second row though, those Ford Haas's. A lot of pace in that second qualifying run, just when you think we might finally get our first pole position. It's just snatched. It's just snatched. We're nearly there. We're nearly there in this race, but that Ford Haas, they have a better engine system, better engine, better power unit than us, a better braking system than us. But anyway, let's get into the race. Hopefully our race pace is quicker than the Ford Haas. We're going to take the soft boost. It should be an easy one-stop race around this track. It's only 21 laps. It's actually going to be a pretty quick race because it is only 120 around, probably about 123, 122 in race pace, and we will be starting on the softs. Can do about 13 laps, then onto a medium, so we can get off that soft at any point. So we might as well push from the outset. What is the weather like? It is pretty hot here, 21 degrees. So the softs, it would be really hot for the ultra softs. It's probably about average for the softs to stay at a certain level. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to go with. We'll just push from the off. So we'll just go down the grid for the 2023 Milan Grand Prix. It's a 2 Ford Haas's on the front row of the grid. Verstappen leading his teammates, so close there between Verstappen and Newgarden. Then it is George Russell, then Sebastian Vettel for us, then Pierre Gasly, followed by Charles Leclerc in the Mercedes. On the fourth row of the grid, we've got Lando Norris in the McLaren, Kevin Magnussen in an Aston Martin. The Aston Martin we know has got that really good rear wing, which I think is one of the crucial parts here. So we should see some decent pace from Aston Martin. Lewis Hamilton is 9th, Schumacher 10th, 11th for Carlos Sainz, Stroll is 12th. Then we've got Valtteri Bottas 13th, 14th for Ricciardo in that Ferrari, still struggling for pace points form here. Nick De Vries is 15th, Sergio Perez 16th, Vips 17th in that Red Bull, not up to scratch this season. 18th for Ocon Tsunoda, 19th, 20th for Hulkenberg, 21st for Fernando Alonso. I'm guessing he's got a dodgy neck. He has. Giovinazzi in the Prema will start from 22nd, and then the back row of the grid we've got Robert Schwartzman in the Prema and Alexander Albon way off form in that AlphaTauri. We'll start from the back of the grid. We are going to concentrate on Vettel here, and we will get to see the start here. The Ford Haas is a pretty slow. Gasly's had a pretty good launch, but Vettel gets on the outside of, that is George Russell. Doesn't look like we can make that move as George Russell is now challenging the Ford Haas as Leclerc is side by side with Pierre Gasly here, heading into the next corner through the chicane. Hopefully there's no lockups that we usually see through chicanes. Gasly is dropping down, Vettel is dropping down the order as Magnussen flies through, as does Mick Schumacher, getting an absolutely outstanding start. And it's chaos here through the first few corners. Hopefully we've got some pace here. It looks like Vettel has got the pace, but Gasly is alongside his teammate here through another chicane. Cars going 3 wide. Gasly is up into third now. We've got the 2 Ford Haas's battling away in front of us. Can we get one of the cars past here? Gasly gets a run. That is Max Verstappen that he gets past. And Giovinazzi sets the quickest lap there. Vettel gets past Verstappen, battling away with his teammate. Just lost pace down that main straight there. And we are now up into a good position. We're not going to dial all the way back. We might as well just go push and high mode because we don't really have to look after these tyres. What we do need to do is try and get past Newgarden. I mean, that Ford Haas is slightly better than us, but our drivers are better better rated than Joseph Newgarden as we say that, and Leclerc just almost goes flying past Vettel, but Vettel manages to retain that position through the chicane. But we are running second and third here. Leclerc putting Vettel under tons of pressure. Vettel has got the inside line here, but has he got the pace? It doesn't look like it's Leclerc pushing all out here. Yeah, Leclerc is pushing the fuel more than we are, so we're going to switch to overtake mode, especially with Gasly, because Gasly is going side by side with Newgarden. Vettel should have the inside line here. Can we get the double move done? And we do. We get both cars past Joseph Newgarden here, and whilst he does that, we're not going to push the fuel because Newgarden should hold up. No, we say Newgarden should hold up Charles Leclerc here, but then Leclerc does just go sailing past, and it's Leclerc starting to recover on the fuel he is, so we're just going to start to recover as well. Try and keep pace with what that Mercedes is doing. We don't want to use too much fuel and have so much to recover by the end of the race, but we don't want Vettel to lose this position. This Mercedes looking pretty quick here, as both the Ford Haas's have dropped to 4th and 5th now. It's a 2 Mercedes. We need to keep ahead of the Mercedes here, obviously, because Mercedes is currently leading the way in the Constructors' Championship, and we want to claw back some of those points if things stayed as they were. I mean, that is 33 points, so we're clawing back, what were we? Clawing back about 20 points over this race if we can stick to these positions. We're just recovering fuel. The weather is 21 degrees, going to go down to 20. We should be able to keep running at this pace for a while longer, as Charles Leclerc is now coming under pressure from Joseph Newgarden. I'm guessing Leclerc is starting to hold off a little bit. And yeah, Leclerc has gone into conserve mode on his tyres. We're just going to keep running like this. Maybe we should try and drop a tiny bit with Gasly. We don't want to leave him open for Sebastian Vettel though. We do want to try and get out of the red zone here if we can do. We would obviously run a little bit quicker if we were out of the red zone, so we'll just go ahead and do that. We're just outside the red zone there. But Vettel is coming under pressure, so we're going to have to push a little bit with Vettel. And that means we're going to have to push with Gasly because we don't want Vettel closing up to Pierre Gasly and allowing Newgarden to maybe get a double move done, because Newgarden is flying here behind us. He's about 3 tenths up of us. Gasly pretty slow around the last lap as well, and it's all about just when we want to get into the pits. A medium can do 16 laps, so we can get into the pits anytime we want. I mean, it is a short pit lane here. We do have the 60-mile-an-hour pit lane limit, so it is going to be pretty quick through the pit lane. It's not that long, but obviously a pit stop would put us 21st at the moment, so we do need to get most of the cars pretty grouped together here. It's just the front 6 cars that are starting to get away a little bit, and we're going to have to try and move away and get a little bit of a gap formed, so when we get into the pits we're not going to be in that much traffic, because if we come out in 21st we're going to be sat at the back of this massive line of traffic. But obviously we don't actually want to get into the pits too early either. So it's sort of a balancing act. Should we get one of our cars going? Should we just get Gasly going here and see if we can pull him away from the pack and get him into the pits? I mean, pretty much everyone is on soft tyres, so if we just waited, we'd possibly be out in front. Are we still picking up time here? Like, we're moving up to 17th now, so maybe it's just about staying out as long as you can and hoping that everyone on these softs comes in around the same times. But George Russell doing an amazing job of holding on to these tyres, 63%. Obviously, he wasn't pushing from the outset, so he's going to be in a really good position. Lance Stroll, don't know if he started on a used pair of softs, but he's pretty much gone. He's going to get into the pits on this lap. So it's just about trying to hold on here. We're not really pulling out a gap over the last few laps, but we're holding on to first and second here over the Haas's, and the Mercedes are starting to drop back now. And we've got 3 teams running side by side here, which is like one of the first times we've seen this. We usually have the order jumbled up. I mean, it's good to see. Sort of. I do like the randomness sometimes of this game. Depending on the track, we get a lot of interesting questions, but obviously with this track not having that many corners, it just if you've got a decent engine, you're usually going to be at the front, which is what we're seeing here on these tracks where there's not many corners. It pretty much comes down to the engine. You think Ford Haas would be there or thereabouts. You think Verstappen would be ahead of his teammate, but he's just being held up now, which is thankful for us, because if Verstappen was ahead of Newgarden, possibly would it be putting Vettel under a little bit more pressure than what Newgarden is doing, because Newgarden is about 1.5 seconds back from Sebastian Vettel. And we're starting to get into the point now. I think it must be about 12 seconds through the pits, because that is what it is estimating. It says we would come out in 7th now. It's just about 8 seconds. So we've pretty much cleared it now. So we're definitely not going to come out in that much traffic if we can just hold on now. Just want to go as long as possible and get onto a pair of mediums that we're going to be able to push. Obviously the AI though is going to go for a pair of softs, which is possibly going to leave us a little bit vulnerable. And as per my own rules, we can't use, if it's a one stop, we can't use the same tyre compound again. We do have to, just like in real life, go through the 2 tyre compounds. Newgarden is into the pit, so we're going to see what the AI does here, and he's going to get a massive he's going to get a massive undercut on those mediums. Are our cars far enough apart? Who's got the better tyre wear? 24%. So we're going to set Gasly off. Vettel is going to get into the pit. No, we're going to do it the other way around, because Gasly should go first since he's in the lead. Don't know which way around is going to be better, pushing the car all out or getting into the pits first. We're not going to set up that pit stop because Vettel does need to go another lap, because there's not enough gap between the 2 cars to double stack, especially with Vettel pushing now. His tyres might just go off. We're going to have to do it, aren't we? We're going to have to try create a little bit of a gap here, aren't we? Onto the mediums. We need to try double stack. We'll get Gasly pushing. It's going to cost Vettel a little bit of time, but we do need to do it. The Ford Haas of Verstappen is in as well. So we are out and we can push from this point forward. We don't quite need to look after the tyres just yet. So Vettel comes out. Gasly is into 5th. Vettel is out. Newgarden, thankfully, is stuck in a little bit of traffic. We've got a little bit of traffic to get through as well, but on fresh tyres we should be able to blast past the traffic, and that is Valtteri Bottas. If we get past there in 5th place in that grey and red Alfa Romeo. So not too much traffic for Gasly. Vettel is ahead of Newgarden. Newgarden has cleared the bit of traffic that he had to get past, but we just need to try clear it with Vettel now. If we can go ahead and do that, we're going to get the run on Mick Schumacher here, and you see we're so much quicker in a straight line, and all that traffic just dives into the pits, which is thankful for us, because that just leaves Mick Schumacher in between us now. Russell is out in front and pushing. I mean, Russell is in a really good position here, although he's starting to lose time now. As Russell maybe left it a lap too long, he could have been out somewhere near the top of the order here. But Newgarden is on this soft tyre. I mean, he's pushing this soft tyre all out. He's already down to 77%. And we're just trying to keep a gap until those softs start to go off a tiny little bit, and they're not as quick as they were over the first part, as Gasly sets the quickest lap of the race now. And we're just going to keep pushing here for a little bit and then try recover a little bit later. We do need to recover the fuel though. Possibly need to go in low mode towards the end of the race. But we're currently 1-2 here in Milan. 6 laps remaining. And it looks like we're going to be able to do this. Leclerc has split the Ford Haas cars, and Russell has come back out into 6th place on that fresh pair of soft tyres. And Mercedes on fresher rubber. So could Leclerc challenge Max Verstappen here? Could Ford Haas, I think this possibly would be Ford Haas's best result of the season. Mercedes could spoil that. Hopefully the Ford Haases can hold them off. Hopefully Verstappen can get past Leclerc here, because that is what we need. Obviously we're battling Ford Haas in this race, but in terms of Constructors' Championship, it is Mercedes that we are battling, and Verstappen does manage to get round the outside of Charles Leclerc here, which is good for us. I don't think Newgarden has got the pace to close up to Vettel, so we are just going to switch in to conserve for a little bit, try and cool these tyres down, because we don't want them going off. I mean, there's only a few laps remaining. 4 laps in fact. And we should be able to keep up the pace, but if we just try cool down a little bit, and we might as well go into full on backup mode, and we can get to pushing again to finish the race on, because we've got enough time over Joseph Newgarden. He's about 4 seconds up the road. He is going all out at the moment though, so we can't run like this for too long, but 3 laps remaining now, and we'll just switch back into full on pushing. And we just have to watch the fuel with both of our cars, as Daniel Ricciardo sets the quickest lap of the race, although he's currently in 23rd. I mean, it's just a curse at this point for Daniel Ricciardo, isn't it? I mean, where is he even in the standings? I mean, he's beating Lewis Hamilton in terms of the driver standings at the moment. Hamilton is picking up a solitary point in this race. We've got the 2 McLarens up there, But we're back to this order at the moment of our 2 Audis and the 2 Ford Haas's, the 2 Mercedes. Now we've got the 2 McLarens side by side. And Newgarden has closed up, but he doesn't like he's going to be able to close up that entire distance before the end of the race. I think we're going to be okay with the fuel as well. It's going to be a 1-2 for us here in Milan. Going to be a great race. Final lap of the race. We do need to switch to low mode though briefly with Gasly just to make sure that he can finish the race, and we're pretty much there, switching back to medium to come across the line. It is going to be another win this season for Pierre Gasly. Vettel comes across the line in second, Newgarden is third, Mercedes. Leclerc has managed to get past Verstappen over one of the final laps here. It's Mercedes, Ford, Haas of Verstappen, Russell, then the 2 McLarens of Norris and Sainz. Magnussen gets 2 points, Hamilton comes across the line in 10th, the 2 Alfa Romeos just outside the points. But that is a pretty impressive race for us, and that engine upgrade that we put into the car heading into this race, pretty much a masterstroke. Not really. We needed a new engine. Luckily, it was quite a decent build as well. Got us enough pace to come across in this race 1-2, managing to keep away from the Ford Haas's as well, who were pretty quick this weekend. And there we go, the result confirmed. 1-2 on the podium. Joseph Newgarden gets up there as well. I think Newgarden, that is the second podium this season for Joseph Newgarden. Max Verstappen only has 1, but Verstappen has been more consistent over the races and has scored more points. Vettel is now 40 points behind Charles Leclerc, jumps Lando Norris in the standings. Pierre Gasly starts to move back up the order, and we are now 30 points behind Mercedes. It's going to be a tough battle towards the end of this season. I think there's 6 races left to go. Now we have jumped McLaren in the order. Ford Haas moving up as well, 120 points. Still in it, but they've got to have some really consistent results now until the end of the season if they want to push towards the top. But obviously that all depends on what the other cars do and what they upgrade heading into Singapore. It's 17 days, so most of the cars that didn't build upgrades going into this race, they're going to have upgrades going into the next one. So I don't think we're going to be, we definitely won't be the strongest car heading into the next race. But Singapore, it is the gearbox, brakes and front wing. I mean, we're not too bad in all of those areas, but obviously we're not as strong as we were for this race. So I mean, gearbox, that's Renault, brakes, that's Ford, and the front wings, McLaren. So it's a little bit here and there. Not one team is strongest in all of these areas. It's going to be sort of a toss-up for who is going to be quickest in Singapore. We'll just finish with the interview, and that's Nick De Vries's agents. Interested in signing for us next season. We'll just say that keeps him happy. I do like Nick De Vries as a driver. Obviously, he's not the best rated in this game at the moment, but he is still improving, I think. But anyway, that is where we're going to leave this episode. A 1-2. Is that the first time this season that we've got a 1-2? We had a few last season. If we just look, Vettel. No, we had a 1-2 in China where Gasly won and Vettel was second. So that's the second time that's happened this season. So they've both won 2 races apiece of our drivers. If we just look, Vettel is winning the battle at the moment. Gasly has outqualified Vettel 6-4 times. Vettel's got 3 podiums to 2, where he's outraced Gasly 7 times to 3. Although Vettel does just have 1 win this season. I was looking at the wrong row there. Yes, we were. It's just Russia where Vettel has 1. So Gasly has won more races this season. But anyway, that is where we're going to leave this episode. A decent race there. We're heading to Singapore next. So anyway, that is where we're going to finish things up for this time. Until next time, I'll see you down the road. Goodbye.